Hey guys, I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Whether you watch this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, I'm glad you're here. I've got a cool knife to talk to you about today. It really kind of blew me away. I wasn't expecting as much maybe. But before I get started, I want to say thank you to all the channel members. Thank you guys, gals, so much. And I want to say thank you to anybody who comes in to check out my knife, my EDC content. I really appreciate it. If you're so inclined and you like it, if you would hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon, it really does help me out. So what I have had the pleasure of hanging on to for the last week is this, I'd say about 4 or 5 days. This prototype of Tri-State EDC's Tristash. It is a front flipper, titanium Warncliffe, and S90V with the button actuated frame lock. So it's got a frame lock. This is actuated by that button too. So it's much smoother, in my opinion, than a button lock. And it feels fantastic as a frame lock. So I want to talk about this knife for a little bit. When it first came out, as you guys know, if you follow the channel, I hadn't been buying knives for the last, I don't know, probably about 8 months. So I've paid attention to things coming out. I've been able to experience a lot of things, but I haven't really gotten excited about a lot of things. And this knife was no different. I thought it looked cool. I liked the way that the frame lock with the button was done. I think I'd seen that once before on Golden Design Works, but always thought that was a really neat touch because I found myself personally using the frame lock just as much. It's just kind of another fidget method to me. You know, you've got opening methods with multiple deployments, and you've got multiple ways to close the knife. So to me, that's kind of cool, right? But anyway, back to the lecture at hand. So this knife came out. I knew I wasn't going to be able to get it on the drop. I think the pre-order was $299. The OEM is Bestech. It's a Tri-State, and I think Blade Binge is the exclusive dealer for it. And they had a couple of different finishes. I think a reverse tux, DLC, black. It looks really, really cool. Again, S90V, nice titanium with this really outstanding diamond milled texture. Point out the things that I just love about the knife and give you kind of some thoughts. We'll do some size comparisons. I love the back spacer. The back spacer's almost a full back spacer, and they ballsed up and put the little divot there so that you can see that your blade's perfectly centered. So you've got your little groove there, you've got your full length back spacer, you've got a frame lock that I think is done very, very well. It reminds me of my Quiet Carry 9, comes all the way around, steel lock bar, insert, hardened. You've got your relief cut here. Really nice jimping that make it a very, and you guys, full disclosure, no, I hate front flipping, but you can really get traction on that because of the jimping. And more importantly, for somebody like me, the way that this knife is meant to be held, in my opinion, is just like this, because that choil is so inviting. I can't imagine holding this knife back here, but I guess you could. Plenty of room to, but I've been holding it right here, making all my cuts from right here, and it feels absolutely fantastic. The clip is nice. It works very, very well. Goes in and out of pocket. I've been wearing 5.11 kind of tactical jeans that have a really thick hem, and it has been going in and out of pocket like a dream. I mean, the knife, in my opinion, is a great size for me. Perfect size, actually. The workmanship, the fit and finish of everything, I've not taken it apart and don't plan to, and all I've cut with it is paper, but it is absolutely stunning. deep hollow grind. So you've got this S90V blade with a deep hollow grind, belt satin, just stunning. And I'm just talking about this knife. Not exactly sure what the final production ones are going to be. But again, the action, the ability to manipulate both the frame and use the little button to push that frame out of the way, I think is just ingenious. Because again, it's kind of like you can fidget with it, and it's also super functional. So let's get some paper out. Keep in mind, this knife has been sent around, so I think it's done a lot of cutting. But it is still razor sharp. Therapeutic cutter, actually. Whoops. And then that tip is the shit. I just messed that up. I love a good Warncliffe, and Cole nailed it in terms of just the perfect flat blade. I think the way that sharpening choil or that plunge grind comes down, splitting that choil, I think is done great. I think it angles back. You've got plenty of room to sharpen it, in my opinion. The two things that, again, objectively, let's do some sizes, and I won't give you my thoughts yet, because there are a couple of things that are, I don't know how I change them, but that are just purely cosmetic, right? But the knife is special, and I'll get into that here shortly. Let's do a couple of quick size comparisons, and I'll get you some measurements. So it's going to be much smaller than the Cold Steel 4MAX. It's going to be much bigger, I am almost sure, than the Baby Banter. Yes, much bigger than that. Let's look at Benchmade bug out. About a ½ inch bigger than our bug out. And about maybe almost a ½ inch smaller than our Pair 2. So kind of splitting that space between the bug out and the Pair 2. But again, for me, perfect size. One thing that I loved about this knife and noticed right off the bat, it does have weight relief. We can look in there, but you've got weight relief in the scales. But this knife feels, the weight of this knife, for me, feels perfect. It's not too heavy, it's not clunky, and it's not too light, which is another thing that I kind of find that can be a perceived negative. For example, it's not a negative to me, but like the Avant, Luft Avant, my first Luft Avant, the micarta and titanium. It's such a light knife. A lot of people might mistake that with a lack of quality. I don't think that, but this knife has really nice balance and weight to it. All the finishes, the centering, the machining is done, I mean, just amazingly well. I assume that this clip kind of recesses down, because one screw, you know, sometimes I worry about it wiggling, but I've had no movement in that clip at all. So I'm assuming it's recessed down in there. There's a little square. All right, so you guys know I can't read a tape measure. I'm going to do my very best, and I'm going to call that 7 3/4 inches overall. I'm going to call the blade 3½ inches. And that's not exact, but that's what I'm calling it. I'm calling the cutting edge 3 inches, and it's actually a little bit under 3 inches, but just by like a 1/16. This front choil is, I'm going to call it right under an inch, right at an inch. The second is also an inch. And then my handle, if I go from the flat before it curls back, I've got 4 1/4 inches comfortably to right here. So, to me, the balance is perfect. Listen to the snap. I don't know if that's partially the hollow grind or just the materials, but to me, it's just got a really nice thwack sound that I think is just really nice. And the hollow, guys, is so deep. You've got this nice swedge here, which is kind of one of the things that I look at and don't know how it would be different. But to me, I jokingly think of that as kind of a big forehead, kind of a megamind. I don't know why that looks big. It's not a problem. It's just totally subjective, right? Totally subjective. Looks like a big forehead. The other thing, and again, it has nothing to do with the stash. It has to do with my OCD and things being symmetrical. I would tell or suggest that they put, like Devo did, maybe another plain pivot in there, only because the stash is awesome. It's great for Cole's brand, but it's not straight, and it doesn't, I don't know why it bothers me. And I think it'll probably be deeper etched, but that's something I would think would be cool, would be to have a flat pivot or a regular pivot too. Sometimes that's hard to do, and those are just two very subjective, basic bitch requests that aren't really requests. They're just things that I would think, well, that'd be pretty cool. You know, if not that there's any lack of love for the stash, to me, for somebody who sees things kind of spirally or with some kind of, it just seems kind of out of whack. I don't know why. But this guy weighs, whoops, a nice 4 ounces, 4.5 ounces. We had a blade that we decided was a little over 3.5 inches. So that's why I say I think it feels like a very sturdy quality tool. It's not quite your inch an ounce, but we've talked about that. That's something that not everybody likes. It's just, I don't know who came up with it, that was some good ratio. I prefer a knife that's got a little bit more girth and beef, and this one does. This one actually feels like a winner. I mean, it really does, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. I have checked out a bunch of knives, and this is, I like a lot of different knives. This knife is excellent. I would, in a heartbeat, had I been, situation been different, I would have bought this knife, and anybody who pre-ordered this knife, I think, is going to really like it. 1310 is the thickness on that blade stock, and it is a screaming 0.0150. I think it's going to have a nice handle right under 1/2 inch, 4.99 exactly. You've got flat scales with that diamond texturing, which feels great because they're rounded over really nicely. The clip you do not feel anywhere in your hand because it is so minimalistic. This, guys, is a winner. I'm sure there'll be some available at drop, and I would think that this knife should make several different version runs. I wouldn't make any changes to it except maybe to the pivot, just in terms of an option. Yeah, maybe down the road, it's a great platform, I think. I think it would be a great platform for maybe another blade shape or two. I think it could be developed on. I think it's, like I said, one of the best knives I've experienced this year. I'll just say it. It just feels that good. It doesn't feel like a Bestech. To me, I get this Kunwu vibe. I don't know why. It just has this just banging feel. It really is it's kind of blown me away, guys. But anyways, totally objective, my perspective on this knife at $2.99. I'd say anybody who got it, congratulations. Great knife. I'm sure there'll be some available when the pre-order's done. They come in. I can't say enough nice things about it. I haven't given Cole my full feedback. I told him when it came in, because I think KC's the one that sent it to me, that I thought it was, you know, I definitely was impressed by it, but I've now had it and lived with it for 4 or 5 days, and I can tell you, I love the way the frame lock disengages. I love the way the button pushes the frame lock out of the way. The deployment hole is not too big, so I can get right in there, snap it out. I can front flip it, Just an absolute winner. Guys, that is the Tristash. I appreciate Cole and those guys for letting me check it out. And I'll get it to the next person who's going to check it out. But it is a winner, in my opinion. As good of a creator knife as I have experienced. You know, it's just that good. And I love, as you guys know, Devo. One of my favorite knives is the nip. I love the lush. I love the buzz. Cole hit it out of the park. Or Kara, whoever designed this. I still think this is a Kara design because it's so good. But it's rocking, guys. I appreciate you watching it. I appreciate you checking out the content. I do ask, if you would, please look out for the guy or gal to your left. Please look out for the guy or gal to your right. Please look out for each other. Go forward with love in your heart and choose debate, not hate. I love you all. Peace.